How you doing?
Doing all right. Finally started a new job a few weeks ago at a different game studio that mostly involves shooting and now punching and whipping Nazis. So
Oh,
hopefully
fun.
we can at least come. Yeah, hopefully we can at least come together on that point.
Yeah, I'd say we agree on that. But you know who wouldn't come together with us on that specific point? There's one person relevant to this conversation who would not, in fact, share our appreciation for that behavior.
Yes, Notch Marcus Persson. He is an incredibly damaged person.
Right. Well,
Um,
I don't know if I disagree with that. Just I think it's pretty inarguable from the stuff that he said that he's definitely like a white nationalist.
I This is very difficult for me because I tend to agree with you that from the views he is currently espousing, he is a white nationalist. And you kind of have to take people at face value in that regard. It's very difficult to contradict it when he is basically showing nothing indicating otherwise. What I think is very important, at least, is to sort of put across something that you yourself have talked about in the past, which is that the left is doing a dogshit job of approaching straight white males. And
Oh, wait, wait,
to be
wait. So are you
wait,
preemptively conceding the notch thing?
Vouch.
Mhm.
I agree that the things that he is saying are terrible, and I agree that at this moment he is terrible for holding those views. However, can we agree on the fact that, well, maybe not the fact, because this is a debate point, but can we potentially agree that there is the potential for him to realize that he is wrong?
Well, yeah, I believe.
And that he has been lured into an ideology that he wasn't necessarily about from the get-go.
Well, sure. I mean, I would say that about anyone who's locked into that. But my statement was only that, he's a Nazi. Or well, I guess fascist with white nationalist tendencies. I don't know how much explicit stuff he said about Jews, but it probably wouldn't be, that unlikely given his other predilections. But I've never said like he's irredeemable. I don't believe that about anyone.
I mean, I think that's a very fair statement. I also think that that is a statement that not a lot of people are saying,
Yeah, but if you've been watching me, and I'm sure I know you have, right?
obviously.
Right, and you know for a fact that I have a reformist attitude towards people I'd consider my political enemies. I've certainly never said anything like, they're irredeemable, there's no chance of changing them, anything like that. But you did
Sure.
disagree with me and message me based on me making a comment about him being right wing, and you were disagreeable in that message. So if you acknowledge that he's, of the ideology described, I what was there to disagree about?
What I'm disagreeing about is that his actions in the past are standing against his most recent actions. And I think it is very important to be aware of both of those things because, to an extent, it says more about the man.
What are his recent actions?
Okay, I mean, his recent actions are being a complete asshole to people who are trans who don't deserve it. His recent actions are being literally disinvited from the Minecraft 10th anniversary party, which I kind of hold as a badge of pride given the fact that they at least, like, Microsoft at least didn't invite me to it. They didn't explicitly disinvite me from it. Uh, but what I think is very difficult to resolve, at least as far as just making broad strokes statements about a person, is it's very difficult to resolve the idea that he would confer a buyout bonus on people who were at the studio at the time that would enable them to more or less have a stable life for years to come, while also at that moment being a Nazi.
Well, why not?
And, well, primarily because since when have Nazis ever argued for any sort of egalitarian viewpoint where no matter who the person is, no matter what country they come from, no matter how long they've been part of the party, quote unquote. Like, if we want to go for some sort of
Yeah, we can't
strained
undo
analogy,
like nearly a decade of consistent far right perspectives just because a billionaire, tossed more money than he necessarily needed to over to his workers. I mean, like this is like Hitler was a vegetarian tier arguments, right? I mean,
mm,
you can personally be thankful for good that he's done to you specifically, and I wouldn't fault you for that. I just don't think that
mhm.
has much of a bearing on his ideology.
I don't think it has much bearing on his ideology now. No. However, like, I guess what it comes down to is, can we agree that there are dyed-in-the-wool Nazis? Like, people who pretty much have absolutely no shot at ever being sort of, I don't want to use the term deprogrammed, but yeah, deprogrammed.
I mean, he's had a decade. If
He
if
has.
he never ends up deprogramming, wouldn't that sort of necessarily mean that he was one of those people all along?
It depends on the context.
I mean, we can't ever know, but my contention wasn't that he was like a super ultra permanent ideologically consistent Nazi or whatever. It's just, he's certainly been more consistent with it than most people. I I'm not making
Don't
the
just
claim that it can't change.
don't really disagree with you there. I guess. Look, can you just give me like 2 minutes for something,
Sure.
just to sort of explain?
Is it a slur?
Is No,
Okay.
absolutely not.
Then go right
Hell
ahead.
no.
Just
All
make
right.
well, I'm just making sure. And also being
No.
facetious in a playful way. But yeah, go ahead.
Sure. Sure. Fine. Like, the thing that gets me about Notch is that he always seemed to be a pretty open-minded dude, right up until the point that he got rich, and that it pretty much just opened that crack. And I'm just going to be very blunt with you as somebody who is on the autism spectrum. The dude is mad autistic, same as me. And I don't mean that as a slur. I mean legitimately, from my interactions with him over the course of about a year, he seemed incredibly naive and just willing to sign up with just about any ideology that would have him. And he always came across to me as somebody who just wanted to have a friend. And unfortunately, when you have millions, billions of dollars, depending on how you're built, like, that becomes very difficult to do. Like, he pretty much lives his life constantly in fear of whether or not somebody who is being genuinely kind to him is looking for a come up, or whether they actually just want to be his friend. And so that is the perfect crack for the right wing to sort of start shoving that wedge into, going, hey, we'll accept you however you are. No matter how rich you are, no matter how poor you are. Of course, it does matter if you're poor, because the right wing doesn't really give that much of a shit. But, they sell this siren song to him. And as a person who only ever wanted just friendship, that ended up becoming attractive to him.
Yeah, I
And
mean,
and that's the problem that I have in terms of being able to say with any definitive terms that, yes, he is a dyed-in-the-wool fascist, right-wing, Nazi who, is only ever going to be what he is.
but I've never said that.
I You've got me on the back foot here. You're right. You're right. You didn't say that.
I mean, I just
He
don't.
cur- he
I
he currently is that. What I'm trying to get across is that when people who have an enormous voice, as you do, um, cast off these admittedly true but non-qualified statements about the dude, it ends up empowering more people to rail against him even more. And the reality is that part of the reason why he sold Mojang in the first place is because people were abusing him online. And now, I get that from a purely rational standpoint.
deservedly so.
Well, we can talk about that if you'd like.
Well, he's a not he created.
He was not before. He was not a Nazi before he sold the company.
Wait, when
People
did
were
he sell
giving him
Mojang?
abuse. He started Mojang in fucking 2009.
Yeah, yeah, but when did he sell it?
He sold it in late 2014. It was announced internally in July 2014 and then finalized in November 2014.
I don't recall whether or
That was
not
when
he had made negative statements before that point. So I
he
can't
really
really speak
started
to
going
that.
off the rail after that point.
Well, okay, but like you have to forgive, but like boo-hoo. Billionaire.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah,
Like
no,
and then far right politics off of this. You know,
dude,
this
I'm
is his story isn't unique. There are lots of like disaffected, lonely like white boys out there who, you know, are terribly insecure and get lured in by whatever ideology tries to pull them in. But he's far wealthier and more powerful and in possession of more resources than the vast majority of people, perhaps all people in that position. And you know, he still does his pity party bullshit, right?
and I actually agree with you on that. I mean, it really does depend on the person. Like, after the whole Guitar Hero layoff in 2011, I spent a year pretty much scrounging change out of my roommate's fucking couch cushions to buy a block of ramen, walking up to the grocery store, buy it, then go and stare at it and think, well, should I eat that today or wait until tomorrow? And then I went from that to the Mojang buyout bonus, and I said to myself, well, you know what? I'm going to put a down payment on a place so that I can help any friends, any acquaintances that I know. And that is not how Notch seems to have treated things. But all that having been said, I just I just have a really hard time thinking that he is irredeemable.
But I've never said he's
And
irredeemable. But I don't think that we should coddle people just because they could be redeemed. He's incredibly powerful and influential. Like of all of the people who deserve to be coddled, he is the least. Like basically every Nazi in America is a higher priority, morally speaking, for coddling than he is, because a lot of them have had to deal with like real adversity. And while that certainly doesn't excuse their political positions, you know, at the very least, it means there's probably like an underlying exacerbator. But in this case, like, what made him like this? Like, why fall into this? What, because like those people appealed to him? Maybe he's just unlikable. I mean, how are you a billionaire with no friends? You have to be remarkably incapable of appealing to the people around you to be having problems like this. Like Elon Musk
Vouch.
has a aura of yes men, and he's incredibly unlikable. I mean, what is Notch doing?
Vouch. I'm not trying to be pejorative about this, but as far as I'm aware, we're both on the autism spectrum, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
And can we both agree that maybe not either of us have as many social genes to rub together well, not genes, but like just social we don't have as much social experience to rub together, or we have more than most people who
I
are there. And you're probably way better than me on that in that regard. Like you talk to people day in day out. So, I get that. But not everybody necessarily has that social
well,
experience.
maybe
Some
he's
people
just
just get into
unlikable.
their late 30s and are just fucking naive.
Well, maybe he's just it. Like sometimes people are just unlikable, autism or not. Like maybe he's just like kind of an unlikable piece of shit. I don't think then, you know, with his tirade on queer people or minorities or whatever, that I should think like, oh, okay, well, maybe the billionaire had trouble making friends. I just feel like this is a level of sort of patronizing um enabling that I wouldn't abide in any other circumstances, and for people far more deserving, you know?
Maybe I am patronizing him. I will admit that.
But like he can the
I
only
just
one who can make him change is him.
That's true.
Then
At the same
what do you
time,
take
what
issue with then?
what has ever given to any sort of level of change in I'm genuinely asking this in good faith. What has ever led to a major sea change in, say, attitude shift, anything in your life? Has it been a congregation of people who basically know nothing about you other than that your online handle is Vouch and are just slinging abuse at you? Or has it been people who are close to you?
Well, nobody changes my mind anyway. Um in his case specifically, it seems to me like you're suggesting that people lay off of him despite him being a billionaire Nazi.
Not necessarily.
But you are saying that. You're saying, like, well, this won't change him. Okay, well, maybe people aren't trying to change him. Maybe they just hate him and want him to suffer.
Hmm?
It's a morally
I mean,
justifiable position.
honestly, I would tend to agree with that. I just think that it's important to be aware of what you're advocating for. Like,
Sure, well, I want fascists to suffer. I mean, if he died alone as his current person, then that's fine. I would consider that a moral win. I think that happiness should be reserved for good people. You know, we can't take lightly what he's done or what he's advocated for here. He could have been such a powerful advocate for everything good in the world, and for no reason, literally no reason, he chose not to. What? Because he was lonely? I mean, that only makes me dislike him more. Like it's not as though there's some kind of like you know, individual vulnerability to be preyed upon here in like a class sense, you know, with him being so wealthy. um I don't know what possible racial antagonism he could have experienced in fuck scanned wherever the fuck he lives, you know. I don't know what
Sweden.
Sweden, right? I don't know what like thought process would bring a person to go like, oh well, you know, I don't have many friends, I have trouble making friends, let's give National Socialism a try. I don't know what goes that way.
Honestly, yeah.
But yeah, so I mean,
When
maybe
you're right,
he'll
you're right.
change, but maybe like incredible
I
suffering will help him change, possibly.
that's that's the thing, really. Like, I think he can change, but I just don't know what the fuck can actually make that happen. And when you're right, you're right. Like, it's like you always say, when when you're correct, like you are always right. And
No, no, no,
I've
no.
got to hand this to you.
We don't need to aggrandize. My ego's large enough, really. No, it's I don't disagree with like the underlying principles here. When it comes to reaching out and changing people, in my experience, though, the billionaires, they're the worst ones to do it with,
Mhm.
because usually people have some kind of like unresolved issue in their life that leads them to thinking that there's more value to pursuing reactionary ideology, or that it like fixes some fundamental problem they have or some insecurity, whatever. But that can't really be the case here, because if his real insecurity is friendlessness, how the fuck is Nazism even helping him? Like, it's not as though he's one of these, it's not like he's Nick Fuentes or Milo Yiannopoulos, where he leverages his ideology into a bunch of social connections. I don't think he's going out there to parties with a bunch of like far right people and getting laid. I think he just stays alone in his mansion and suffers. So how is he like? What is it? What's even personally? Well, you know what I think. I think he's just an insufferable piece of shit, and I think that he latched onto far right politics initially as a cudgel for pursuing a perceived intellectual superiority over vulnerable people. Because he's weak and insecure, he seeks lower people to bully. So he sees racial minorities or trans people, you know. But I think it's a lot of it ultimately is just because he hates himself. And you know, as because he hates himself and he hates having to deal with all of this nonsense for, you know, self-actualization, or feeling like he's participating in society broadly. I think he just lashes out over it. And I don't know what about that can change, right? Like this is like you said he's broken. Like I agree with that. He just doesn't act like other far right billionaires. He's not even like funding super far right causes. Like, what is he doing?
That's part of the reason why I'm arguing that he's kind of broken in that regard. Like, I mean, like if he was a far right billionaire, who just goes off and fucks people over, I would be a lot more happy to just write him off. And yes, I am a biased source in this regard. Like, I literally worked for with him for about a year, and you said yourself that a lot of these people are arrogant and don't want to deal with trolls and things like that. And yet I'm just looking back on literally the day that I was out there, like out here for my first interview, and one of the other Java coders introduced me to him and was like, yeah, Ryan here has been working on a bunch of Minecraft mods. And his immediate response was, oh, I'm sorry for the quality of the code. Like, he's just always been this incredibly awkward motherfucker, and just he absolutely nothing about him. Meeting him in person screams right-wing ideologist, which is why I find this whole thing so hard to parse.
Well, I mean, I don't think that he's like a hardline political advocate or anything, which is why his engagement seems mostly to be limited to like tweeting out bigoted shit and then crying himself to sleep at night. I don't really
Yeah.
know why he feels he needs to be that way. But I just, yeah, it doesn't seem like coddling is really, because not it's not as though Notch like exclusively receives negative attention, right? He's beloved by many millions of relatively apolitical people who don't know much about him except that he made Minecraft, the most popular game ever. So, in line with that, like if he wanted to look for positivity, he could have found it and probably has found it. It clearly just doesn't mean much to him.
Yeah.
I'm surprised he hasn't
As
killed himself since he's so apparently incapable of engaging with any positivity. He just does this self-destructive shit.
Probably because his brother killed himself.
Did it? Oh, I didn't even know that. Well, then I'm
Yeah.
doubly surprised because suicidality tends to be comorbid with other suicidality.
Yeah, the whole Hero Brian thing is only partially a myth.
Oh, I don't know the
Like,
details.
it having anything to do with Minecraft is actively a myth, but the fact that yeah, he did suffer a suicide in the family is extremely true.
Well, if he's going to persist through sheer stubbornness, I would really appreciate it if he didn't try to shepherd other people along to their ends.
Yeah, that's mainly the thing. Is the just all I can really say is, as an extremely embittered, depressed person on the autism spectrum, who at least has chosen to use that embitteredness and depressiveness to like try to help the people in their own like social circle, I can also see how that can bend incredibly in the opposite direction. And instead, he has just become this embittered piece of shit who just tries to drive everybody away. And I don't really know what there is to do with that. Like, I've experienced, like, I've experienced the loss of friends to the big S, and even as much of a piece of shit as he can be, I can't, in any good faith, actually wish that on him, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, well, I mean, obviously the ideal would be him changing. There's he could have been like such a ridiculously loud advocate for good things. Um
Yeah,
yeah, so yeah. I mean, he's probably not going to change at this point, right? He's pretty fucking locked in.
I mean, I hope he does, but yeah, I don't really see it. But hope springs eternal. I mean, if not for hope, might as well just end the world, you know?
Well, if nothing else, I promise that if he ever does change, I'll be a passionate advocate for his recovery.
Yeah, and if he doesn't change, feel free to tell me. Just feel free to send me the occasional message to tell me that you told me so. All right,
I'll be sure to. Take care, okay?
all right, and sorry for the colossal waste of time because it does seem like we're pretty aligned on this.
No, actually, the Oliver Anthony thing was the last segment that I had lined up, so this is not at all inconvenient for me.
All right, appreciate it, man.
Have a wonderful
Be
day.
well. Likewise. Night, night.
Night. Guys, I just wanted Unbreaking 3, and I broke the... I destroyed the lectern after realizing I had gotten it, and I'm just looking for it again. That guy doesn't seem bad, but I don't really get his point. He's personally defensive over Notch because he knew Notch personally. It's not at all uncommon. Um, and I don't at all fault him for feeling that way. It's a pretty common way to feel when it comes to like there's a very big difference between like interpersonal like how you would treat somebody or think of somebody who you know personally and how you have to treat or think of them in like a broad distanced political sense. Um and there's always going to be agitation there. Pretty fucking cool the Mog Miner did did Minecraft work, you know? Like goddamn. Great power present in the chat. Please, I have Unbreaking. I have, like, everything. Just give me... I have Mending. Pushing a lectern with the piston will reset the... Shut up! Jesus Christ. Fucking Minecraft players. Bro, dude, set up a... Why haven't you built a fucking Factorio? God damn, dude. Holy shit. Come on, just... Please, God. Oh my God. It's a good system. It's a good game. It's a good system. It's a good game. I'm gonna start banning people in chat. It's like the wind being taken out from under my sails when I play a video game and a bunch of people in chat are like, hey, I've spent 6 trillion hours on this video game. And mathematically, the optimal solution to the problem you're working on right now was settled about 4 years ago. So what you're going to need to do is downgrade your version. You're going to go back to 1.8.014 beta build. That's going to allow you to get a 4% optimization increase due to a difference in the chunk update algorithm. Okay, so here I've got this build. You're going to want to download a this mod will help you see blueprints. And okay, we'll switch over to Creative World so that first you can make sure this works properly, because you know sometimes it doesn't. Give me the fucking Unbreaking 3. I'm gonna run out of this axe charge. No. What if bands could make it so you couldn't watch stream as well? That would convince people. Get over here. Oh my God. Get. We're doing this. I want that fuck. Oh my God. Why you? I don't want Infinity. I want Unbreaking 3. My mending can't work properly. What are you guys doing? Oh, it's the town meeting. God damn it. Go. 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 All right. Look, I got a creative world. Isn't this cute? I feel like I could do more with, like, vines and stuff. But, like, dark oak, brick, white concrete, and lanterns and stuff, I think this is cute. It's a front, see? Like, as a test. I feel like I could do more with the detailing, but I'm not really sure. The problem with the white concrete is that you can't make stairs or slabs out of it, so it can only be a block, which is actually really fucking annoying. Wait, can you use a stone cutter on that? Does that work? Can you stone cutter that shit? No? Ah, okay, whatever. There's potential here. Maybe quartz for stairs. So I tried smooth sandstone, but smooth sandstone just does not look right. For quartz... What? No, shut up. Smooth quartz is close. Like, it can be done in a pinch, see? But, it's not perfect. For stairs, the stairs should be wood. You know? See? That looks good, I think. I've tried polished diorite. I don't really think I care for it. See, it's way too, it also has, like, a block shape. You know, it doesn't look right. It's stone, but this is supposed to be, like, adobe, like mud, you know? I wonder if a different wood would look better. Yeah, like a brighter wood. Okay. Dark oak is as dark as it gets. What about, like, mangrove? Does that look good? Oh, shit. Like, if I... Like, as a color... No, no, it's too close. Nope. Nope. It's too close to the brick. It doesn't work as a highlight. What about, like, the wood is too dark? The one that I'm using currently? What do you think, like, spruce would be better? What do you guys think? Do you think spruce? Well, Nicarendro, that seems more like an emotional thing. I don't know if I could really logic you out of that. I respect your willingness to challenge your priors on that. I think it's good that you will. But I don't know if that's necessarily something I could convince you out of. Okay, what would happen if I use spruce on this side? Um, I think the dark looks better. Yeah. No, I like the dark better. Try jungle? Well, jungle's even lighter than the spruce ones. I don't know if that works. Try birch? Well, that's... Well, I guess birch would be going for, like, a completely different... I'll try birch. Eh. Okay, wait. I like this better than the other wood. I think this is better than... But I don't know if I like it better than the dark wood. Maybe spruce for stairs? Maybe spruce for stairs. Yeah. Oh, I don't know why I searched like this, but okay. Or birch. That could look pretty good. Yeah, yeah, let's maybe dark oak for the exterior and birch for the interior. I think that looks good. I like that idea. That's good. I just have to farm up the materials. Okay, this is a waste of time. Well, no, it's not.